We are live. I'm so excited. Welcome, everybody. This is Karyn Kane. Welcome to Sobriety. I have a very special guest today that I am super excited to introduce. Inga Seals is in the house. Welcome, Inga.
Hi, Karyn. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Hi.
Hi. You're so humble. Hi. Hi. Well, this is usually how I start my podcast. And first question is one word that comes to your mind to start off the podcast. Give me one word, that first thing that comes to your mind.
Grounded.
Ooh, I love it. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Grounded.
Yes. Awesome. I love it. Okay. So being that we're grounded, this is going to be an awesome podcast because it won't go flying away.
Yes.
Yeah. So you are I wrote it down because I would call you a yoga, a master trainer, but you're so much more than that. And you're a Reiki Master. You call yourself a movement specialist on your Instagram. What's your Instagram, real quick? Let's just throw that out right away.
Yoga.goddess420.
Awesome. Cool.
Yep.
And an educator. So you are a well-rounded person that people can connect with to really, really change their life, in my opinion. So I feel super grateful to have you here with me.
I'm super grateful that you asked.
Yeah,
I'm super grateful that you asked.
Yeah, I'm glad that we finally coordinated it.
Yeah. For sure.
So I also know a little bit about you, and obviously this is called Sobriety podcast. That you just celebrated 4 years sober, and so I want to congratulate you with that. That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal.
It's been really interesting, to be honest. Because my kind of relationship with alcohol has shifted so much over the last 10 years. Because there was a point where things were very heavy, and it's interesting because this is called sobriety. I definitely was not living in sovereignty whenever I was drinking. So
right?
I feel like I wasn't living in my true life, or my true my true essence. Definitely wasn't. I felt like I was doing whatever I needed to do to, make it.
Right.
To make it energetic, emotionally. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I don't know anything about your story with and your relationship with alcohol. Do you want to share a little bit about?
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody has a different relationship, even though there's a common, obviously, a common theme with it. That if you drink too much, you can really go down a spiral. So, but some
very
people,
quickly,
so where, what's
I feel like I definitely went down a really dark path with alcohol at one point whenever I was in my late 20s. A lot of the medical issues I have, I feel like completely stemmed from alcohol. But because I was overweight, all of my doctors always focused on, you need to lose more weight. You need to lose more weight. That's what's wrong. You need to lose more weight. And so it never occurred to me how much of a problem my drinking was until I started kind of diving into, yoga. Once I started practicing yoga, I was like, okay, well, I don't necessarily, yoga unconsciously will help you to want to be a better person. And it's really interesting because I was doing it so that I was looking for an easy way to lose weight. That was the original idea when I started doing yoga, because I was 300 pounds and not everything was easy for me at that point in time. I also had pretty severe arthritis. So when I was, trying to lose this weight, I was still drinking. And drinking pretty heavily, actually.
which is
And I
such
was the retail,
self-sabotage.
yes, and I was the retail manager too. So, and that's very
Oh.
common when you're in retail. Yeah, like it's
Oh.
very easy to like get sucked in, drinks after work. And I was in retail management. Very, very
Okay.
easy to get drawn into that.
Right.
Um, so it was easy for me to just, go to the gym 5 days, 4 or 5 days a week, walk, do yoga, and still drink and think
Right.
that
I
I was
did
going to lose
I did the
weight.
same thing. Yeah, totally. I did the same thing. I was like a ping pong table, like back and forth. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to be all healthy. Oh, I'm going to just sabotage that and go nuts and binge drink."
Interestingly enough, I think it has a lot to do with like how accepted drinking is. Like if you think about it, alcoholism is like the one disease that people joke about. Like it's very accepted. Oh, I'm an alcoholic too.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
we all go out together and we all do
Yeah.
things together. If you think about it,
Right.
it's very
Yeah.
acceptable in society.
You're right.
In fact, it's more unacceptable to not be a drinker.
You're
there's
yeah.
less social there's less social situations where drinking or not drinking feels inappropriate, which is why the first year of me not drinking, I didn't go anywhere. Like I really
Yeah.
didn't. Like I
I
couldn't do
didn't.
coffee shops. If there was a bar, I probably wasn't gonna come. So
Yeah.
like it's just
Yeah.
really interesting. I was actually thinking about it earlier today before we were, scheduled to do this, because a friend of mine posted about like her struggles that she's going through, and she's also someone that works for themselves because she has a lot of chronic depression and that kind of thing. And someone asked her why she doesn't work, and I was like, isn't it interesting that whenever we work for other people and we work in society, there's this norm for all these
Right?
unhealthy habits, right? That are very
Ooh.
supported when we have regular jobs, very supported. Like I told her, I commented, I said, isn't it interesting how it would be more acceptable for you to work a job and try to fit into this company's mold and be
Yes.
depressed and drink all the time and
Right?
like have a drink at lunch or whatever and come back and work so that you can
Yeah.
make it through it. That's more acceptable than you being sober and working on
That's such
yourself as
that
it
is
is.
huge. Huge.
It's
And it is
crazy.
so true
It's
because
crazy.
I'm on the side that you're talking. I'm on your side of like, you know, I can see it exactly what you're talking about. Right.
It's insane. And so I was
It is
thinking, I was kind
insane.
of reflecting on that today. I was like, man, it was so much more acceptable for me to work full time at a company or whatever and go out and drink with them. And that is how I built relationships at that point in time. If
Right.
you think about it, it's
Yeah.
easier to build a relationship when you have something to, I guess, take the edge off. I don't really look at it that way anymore, but
Right.
like then I
Well,
did.
I think it's easy. Are they really relationships, in that situation? And then the alcohol just puts a mask on. So it's like a fake reality right there. It's a false,
Exactly.
it's like you're on this,
It's
yeah,
a false narrative that you're living in. It's a false narrative that you're
totally.
living in. So if you think about that,
And it's the norm. You're right. It's the
also the norm,
accepted and the
and we're trying
accepted.
to,
Like,
we are all born with an innate desire to belong. And depending on how we grew up, we have different processes to satisfy that innate desire to belong. I feel
mhm.
like mine in the beginning had a lot to do with drinking. It had a lot to do with being more open and
Accepted.
free
Yeah,
and
me too.
feeling more relaxed and not
Yeah.
as anxious, because I have pretty high anxiety too. And so like all of those things tied together really create this like perfect storm for alcoholism.
Yeah,
So if you
totally.
think about, yeah, so if you think about it, like it was easier to keep drinking. And so eventually I started just taking away little things that were inhibiting me losing weight.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, I need to stop smoking cigarettes. So I did eventually, Lord of mercy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I need to stop drinking. So I did stop drinking for a long time. I lost over 100 pounds in under a year, right under a
Oh,
year,
wow.
lifting
What?
weights and doing yoga. And that was, I mean, mind you, that was like 10 years ago. I'm 40 now. That was like in my like early 30s,
Yeah.
late 20s. So
Wow.
like that was a huge accomplishment for me. And I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to live my life. And then eventually I kind of fell back into drinking. Um, so my relationship was kind of in, out, in, out, in, out, in,
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I would try to, and as I continued, you know, to my journey continued to unfold in my yoga practice and teaching. So once I started practicing more, decided to become a teacher, I was like, okay. And then, of course, that's a whole new group of people to learn to belong to. So eventually, my drinking trickled back in. Now,
Oh.
it's never gotten as bad as it did in that first little bout when I was trying to lose weight and I was really depressed in my late 20s. It never got that bad again.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, as my journey continued to like flourish, I found less and less of a use for
Uh-huh.
alcohol. So I started learning about Reiki in 2016. That was the first training I went through, and by 2000, late 2017, I think mid 2017, I was a Reiki master already because I was training with someone that was I was constantly learning with. And once I decided to be really committed to helping people learn about their energy, I completely had no use for alcohol anymore. And it was interesting because it was kind of slow. So like
Yeah.
every year I would stop drinking about September, October, because during the holidays is when I would get too depressed. And if I got too depressed, then it would get heavy. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't feel like I could have a drink socially even.
Oh.
Then
Wow.
it went to
Okay.
October. Then it went to November. Or well, I think it got earlier actually. So November, then October, then September. And then one September I just stopped and I never started again. Um, so and then it just I was like I can't and if at any
Wow.
point like I felt like I was getting to a low point, I would remind myself I don't drink because I want to continue, you know, teaching and offering energy healing, and the bounce back is too much
Oh.
with
Yeah.
the level of work that I do at this point in time, teaching yoga, meditation. I mentor yoga teachers, which is like one of my favorite things.
Oh.
Um, I just don't have the space and energy to do that. I just no longer there's no space for it.
Yeah.
So hitting 4 years was kind of like, oh wow, I just realized it's been 4 years.
Wow.
Just because like there's just no connection to it anymore. Fortunately, because
Yeah. So,
as you and I have had conversations, there's definitely been some really dark moments recently where it could have
yeah.
transpired again. But I was just like, no. And I have set myself up in life to where it would be super weird for me to have a drink. Like, it'd be weird. It'd be weird.
I
Like my
actually,
daughter would look at me and be like, what is that? You know? Kid hasn't seen me have a drink in like, God, probably since she
right.
was 8, my younger daughter. So she'd be like, what's going on? What is this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it would just be really strange.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's a cool story. Um,
Yeah.
so from taking that, I am curious. One of the questions I like to ask people, because I think there's that underlying quietness of people who are struggling with alcoholism, and they think that maybe they're alone, and that what they're experiencing, like nobody else in the world has experienced, or taken them down such a downward spiral. So I know you mentioned like the dark phase where it was really bad. So what was your actual bottom? Like what, what did you experience, or, can you talk about the bottom?
I have never talked about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so the bottom was actually, no, the bottom was actually, I was at a bar 5 minutes from my house. So like, I never actually like, thank God I never got to the point for like day drinking or anything like that, unless I was at an event or something. All of my drinking happened at night while my kids were asleep. So,
oh.
at the time, I had like 5 roommates. So if
Oh.
I went out somewhere, someone was always home. So
Okay.
I went to meet a couple of my friends at a bar down the street, and I was coming back. And we're talking a 5-minute drive. And about 2 minutes in, I pulled over in a neighborhood just because I was like, what am I doing?
Oh, wow.
And while it wasn't like I was gonna hit anyone or anything like that, I was just more like, this is like a point where it has to stop. And then so I stopped drinking at bars and I started drinking at home. And that's when things got really bad.
Yeah.
Because I would sit at home in my room and watch the same things over and over again, because I have a really bad habit of doing that in general. I've learned to live with that. But yeah, I really don't watch new things. If I want to actually watch something, I don't watch TV. So like when people talk about new shows, I have no clue what they're talking about.
Me neither.
I watch the same thing over and over and over again. So so like I had a lot of shows that I would watch over and over, and I would just sit in my room and drink and, just chill. And once I started drinking at home more and more, and then my friends would go out and I would stay at home and drink, I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not.
Not
I should
too healthy.
probably do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I should probably change something about this. This is not cool.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that I was actually being healthier by drinking at home, and I was like, or you could just stop altogether, maybe. And then
were you
remember.
Sorry, were you drinking more when you decided to like stay at home, do you think, or about the same?
Well, I had access to more because I would have like a bottle, or like you buy things in packs, right?
Yeah, right.
So it was easier to just keep going.
Yeah.
Like at a bar, you have to ask someone to give it to you.
Yeah.
So that made it a little bit harder. Also, you have to keep paying for it at a bar.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But at home, you just go down to the fridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, I know.
Much easier. And there was one point where, I tried to drink in moderation.
Yes. Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Well, it almost felt impossible because, once you stop drinking, just like with anything you imbibe, right? Once you stop doing it for a while, your tolerance is gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
So like I would go to eat with someone and I'd have one drink and then I couldn't leave where I was for like 3 hours because you have to like drink water. And I was just like, okay, this is just stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't have then I would be like, I don't even have enough time to drink in a healthy way. Like I can't even have like a tiny shot without being completely trash now.
Wow.
In the day when I had a higher tolerance.
Right. It was like probably endless where you could just consume. Yeah.
It got to the point where even consuming in moderation was pointless. So I was like, oh, okay, well, it's time to let this go. And like I said, there was a few moments where like I would step back in and be like, I have a lot more, awareness, which every time there was more awareness because
I love that.
In my yoga journey and my teaching journey and my just consciousness journey.
Yeah, right.
So like then it would just get to the point where I was like, okay, there's still no use for this. Now there's really no use for it. Like just with the level of work I want to do, it's really nice to not actually
Yeah, and the level of work you're doing is amazing, which actually this popped in my head as you were talking about consciousness. What do you what's your opinion on, and this is out of the blue, um teaching something like yoga and also like drinking, like um you know, drinking alcohol,
So
say
like yoga.
maybe not abusively, but just regularly. I'm just curious, because we both are kind of in the same same tribe when it comes to, you know, we are working on our consciousness, our healing, our, you know, level of just human consciousness,
Yeah.
but trying to spiritually ascend, but also teach, you know, help people. We help people. So now, like, if I think about it, and just hearing you talk about it, it makes me think, wow, because you're like, it doesn't match, right? Like you're drinking this like
For me,
poison,
it does.
right? So you think it's
It doesn't.
individual?
It definitely is, because other people, you know, so that's one thing I really have to like sit with on in my own consciousness journey and be like, even when I have clients that talk to me about, you know, them drinking when they're sad and that kind of thing, I always talk about intention.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah,
what is your intention when you're drinking? What is your
right.
intention when you're inviting this? How do you feel when you do it? Just, it's the same
Yeah,
thing with food, right? So I have kind of like food issues where like that's how I ended up overweight.
was
It's
with
just a
what?
lot of food issues. I said I have food issues.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So like, so can you still hear me?
yeah,
My headset died. Okay, I want to make sure.
yeah.
Okay,
You're good.
so I have food issues. So if you think about the way you feel about when you things you eat, right? A lot of people, when they decide to change what they're eating, they have a lot of restrictions, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I don't do is restrict myself.
Okay.
So in that journey, in the same way, whenever I like, for example, when I eat ice cream, I know I want the ice cream and I'm okay with eating the ice cream. My
Yes.
intention is to enjoy it and
Yep.
not beat myself up about it after. I
Yeah.
feel like that's what messes with your head as far as when you're changing your diet, right? So same thing.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
going out and you enjoy a drink, I have clients that are moms that drink wine,
Yeah.
not excessively, but
Right.
their moment of the day is after they've done all the things for everybody else, they go and they sit and they
Yeah.
have their wine, and maybe they have a book that they read or whatever, right?
Yeah. Right.
And
Right.
their intention is to give themselves that moment. So it's really
Yeah.
about your intention when you're doing things and how you feel about it. Those are always like my two forefront things. And that's actually
Yeah.
another reason why I don't drink, because I wouldn't feel good about it. I wouldn't feel good,
Yeah.
period. I still remember very vividly how it feels to be drunk. And I have no
Yeah.
desire to go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I don't
can't.
miss that. I don't miss that.
No, no, I don't miss that either. I absolutely feel so blessed to say that too, because it took me for so long to finally get it. You know, like you kind of said, you would sort of dabble and then, you know, come back and say, I mean, me, I just, it took so long for me to get it, but wow, what a gift and a blessing to, you know, like be like you. I do not like, I'm so happy to not have it. So yeah, that's super
Yeah.
cool.
There's just no
That's super
desire.
cool. So I'm trying to, I don't know if you answered this, because so I was asking about the rock bottom, and then my next question was what brought you out of that, but I think you answered it. It was just, you know, working through,
Awareness.
yeah,
A
the
lot of
process.
awareness.
Mhm.
Yeah, just a lot of awareness and
Yeah.
trying to do things more intentionally, and it didn't fit anymore.
It didn't fit anymore. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you think the universe was just like, "Girl, you know, like, what are you doing?" You
Not
know?
really, just like,
Yeah.
I mean,
You just knew.
originally what kept me motivated was that, you know, whenever you do something to change something in your life that's as significant as not drinking, the people around you change because you're a mirror for them. Everyone's
Yeah.
a mirror for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So like if you stop drinking and your close friend used to go out and drink with you, then maybe your close friend isn't going to be able to handle you not drinking. And I see that a lot. Like
Yeah.
I see that a lot, especially
Yeah.
like with couples too. So like if your partner and you like drink and that's when you're able to like really be connected and like intertwined with each other, and then one of you says, I have to stop drinking for A, B, and C.
Right.
It could destroy your relationship depending
Yeah.
on how that other person feels, right? So like it
Yeah.
changes the people around you, it changes your relationships. And so that process helped me a lot too. And it did get really
Oh,
lonely. I
you
will
did?
say that like I I didn't get invited to anything for a long
Yeah.
time.
Me
Like
too.
a lot of my friends stopped inviting me to things because they'd be like, oh, well, you know, is she going to make everyone else uncomfortable because she doesn't drink? This is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's ridiculous.
It is. No, I absolutely same thing. I have the same experience, for sure. You know, people just start dropping like flies, and then you're like, I'm on my own. You know, so I guess you then chose to build a community. It seems that's the
Right.
path that
Yeah,
you've chosen.
I definitely have better friends now. That's good. And
Right?
some of those people are still, you know, in my life in the background. It's not like they're
Yeah.
completely gone. We just
Yeah.
don't align the way that
Yeah.
we used to.
Right.
So, you know, it just, and that's okay. That's
It
another
is.
thing. That's really okay.
Right. Right.
I've had a lot. It's so funny because I don't, like I said, I don't really talk about my
This.
sober journey with alcohol.
Yeah.
And as soon as I posted that, so many people reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, I'm on like week 2. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
I haven't
Oh.
drank in 2 months. And this really motivated me. Like
Oh. Yeah.
last night I ran this couple that I'm friends with. One of them had been drinking, which it was really funny and fun actually that she had been drinking.
Oh.
But they were celebrating their anniversary, and the other person in their relationship was sober. Like she had stopped. It had been 2 months. Then she had a drink, and so like people can definitely coexist, right?
Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
definitely coexist, and also depending on how we react as sober humans, there's nothing wrong with being around people who still drink, you know?
Yeah.
It's about
Absolutely.
how you affect them as their mirror. That's what changes things.
Ah. Can you go into detail with that? The mirror.
Well,
Can you explain to our audience what you're talking about?
so with being a mirror for someone, everyone around you is a mirror. Let's say a very basic example is, let's say you see someone and they kind of give you this what you would consider like a stank eye, and so you kind of take it personally, even though there's been no like denotation that it was you. There's
Yep.
been no interaction at
Right.
all,
Yeah.
and it affects you. It
Right.
affects you. And think about like, someone like your mom. If your mom drinks a lot and you don't drink, and you've decided you're new on your drinking journey,
Yeah.
you have to go see your mom and your mom's drinking, and you're like, and maybe you're not comfortable enough to be around it yet. So you try
Yeah.
to convey that, and they take it personally, and they're just like, what do you mean I can't drink around you? That's
Yeah.
you. That's me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you think about everyone in your life as a mirror,
Yep.
and what you're experiencing reflects back on them, and how they choose to absorb that reflection really doesn't have anything to do with you,
Nope.
but it's still a thing.
Yeah.
How they absorb that reflection can affect your relationship with them.
That's it.
In a
Boom.
good or bad way.
Yes. 100%.
In a good
Boom.
or bad.
Yep.
you could really inspire them. Maybe you inspire them to realize they're doing too much, or maybe like, 'cause I have friends that still drink that, like, when I come over, they do or don't drink, and it's fine. My relationship, my boyfriend does drink occasionally. He doesn't really drink a lot, thankfully. But like,
right.
it's also very like subtle. You know, it's not like he's sitting here like absorbing a lot of that. He doesn't.
Right.
Which works nicely for me, and
right. Like a healthy
wouldn't be for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. So like, but I remember in the beginning, kind of with some of my friends and with him, like they were like, "Are you comfortable with me drinking around you?" I just won't.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, "No, you can do whatever you want. I'm good."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's funny. It is funny how people react with that. You know, they're like uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable. It's not like because if we were uncomfortable, we wouldn't be there, right? Like if we were uncomfortable, we wouldn't be there. But it makes them uncomfortable because they're like, don't know what to do.
Reflection.
Yeah, exactly. Reflection. Yeah, totally. 100%. 100%.
And I'm like, or you could just chill with me and not worry about that because I don't care what you do because it's your body. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's like, have at it, but I'm glad it's not me.
Right? And also like I said, that first year, I just didn't go to bars.
Yeah. Well, they, you know,
go to a bar and be perfectly fine.
What was that?
I said, now I can go to a bar and be fine.
Oh, right. Exactly. Yeah. In the beginning,
that a little time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That first year is, I mean, I literally put myself in a bubble. I was like, I protected myself, like, because I had to get it, because I had tried and tried. And this time I was like, no way, there is nothing that's going to pop my bubble or get into, you know, infiltrate, you know, my path. But all the times before that I tried, I didn't do that and definitely relapsed multiple times. Yeah. So
definitely a journey. Like, man.
I know. Well, okay. It's definitely a journey, but now let's start to wrap up. What is your life like today?
Oh my God, you're so cute. I mean, it's much more easeful. The thing I drink the most is water. I mean, the worst day is when I don't have my water bottle. So it just kind of, you know, I feel like I've done 75 hard twice. And so drinking water is like an essential part of my day, essential part of my functioning.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I don't think about alcohol very much anymore. I mean, sometimes when I go out now, I mean, I now have friends that invite me to do things, which is nice.
Yeah.
You know, there's really no more desire to invite alcohol. And I also don't ever want to tell anybody else that they shouldn't. It is your journey. It is up to you what you choose to, you know. I mean, I smoked cigarettes for like 10 years. I have no space to judge anyone ever.
Right. So,
you know, if you choose to do that, then that's great, and more power to you. I'm gonna drink this little mocktail over here, and we'll cheers together.
Yeah. That's it. So, I mean, I think you're kind of being humble. Like, what are you up to? What is life like today?
Okay, I guess I'm being humble because I don't know. I'm just always modest. I mean, I teach yoga full time.
Yeah. So I
teach energy healing. I am planning a Costa Rica retreat right now for my next energy healing training because I decided that I wasn't going to teach any more energy healing retreats in the city, just because like the energy is fine, but it's not what I want it to be. Or something like that. And so Costa Rica is a lot more magical than Houston. Not that Houston's bad, you know?
Right.
Just
No, I get it.
just
Yeah.
great fucking magic. And that's where I
Yeah.
want to leave my retreats from now on. That's where I
Experience.
want to leave energy healings from now on. So I was literally doing that before I got on this call. I was like building my little website for my next energy healing retreat.
Awesome.
So I'm super excited about that. I actually still travel to teach booty yoga. So I still film for booty yoga 2 or 3 times a year. And hopefully there'll be some trainings that I'll lead with them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm back and forth between Houston and Austin right now teaching. And it's super fun. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I love watching everything that you're up to. It's just it's so beautiful. I love seeing everything that you're doing. You are such an inspiration for me. I No, you really are. I remember I know we have to like get you off this call soon.
No
Or
worries.
this
We have like
podcast.
7 minutes. Yeah.
I know, but we have to take photos after.
Okay. Okay.
But I remember that I was on the certification. I was. What do you call it when you take it again?
Oh, you were auditing.
Auditing. Yeah, I was auditing online, and that was just like the longest day ever. And you were just so plugged in to the comments, and you were just like so there and so present. And then you taught like toward the end, like the day was like eternal. This day was like eternal, I swear to God. And then you taught like a class.
16-hour days. Really
Oh
long
my God. Yeah, it was crazy. And it was like and then I remember I had to take a break. I was like, I need a break, my butt. Anyway, so and then still at the end, you were like, and we were talking about music at the end, and I will never forget how you were just so incredibly present, amazing, helpful, plugged in, and to just go, you were just through it, man. You were in it the whole way. And that's where you just made such an impact for me. Never meeting you before, just experiencing you in that particular audit was just incredible. It really was.
Wow, I really appreciate that because those days are so freaking long and it is so hard to stay present in those online trainings.
I know. Yeah, that's why I was like, you really
it, but also it is very hard. Yeah.
You stuck out so much for me on that because it was like, I don't know, it would have just been, I don't know, you really made a difference for me being online, and that was like, oh my God, so that's really where I felt the connection with you. I just felt this strong, like she's a helper. She wants to really help people in their journey. And so I'm just, I feel really blessed to have this opportunity to actually like one-on-one talk to you, get to talk about something that, is not super common to talk about in our personal journeys to people don't get to see this part of us. They just see like what we're doing today, and well, it's been like it's kind of through the trenches sometimes to get to today. So
it can be for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, of course staying humble is definitely the way to go, but I just want you to know you're a freaking rock star. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so as we wrap up, is there anything that you would share with somebody who is like, do you want to share the message you would give someone if they're out there and they're struggling and they've kind of been where we were in our past? What would be like the tip that you would give to them?
Be kind and compassionate toward yourself, because that is going to go a long way. Beating yourself up and being hard on yourself when you are going through something challenging can hinder your journey.
Yeah.
So it's important to be really kind and compassionate toward yourself and give yourself permission to just have those setback moments as they happen and just keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
feel like relapses are one of those things that like it's almost like you get like really far in this walk and then the relapse like takes the rubber band and pulls you back really fast
Yeah.
and it's hard
Yeah.
to get back up and walk back forward because you feel like that journey's gone and it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Don't lose your gusto. Like just keep getting back
Yeah,
up. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
for sure. You're right. You're right. Um, I love that. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that
Of
because
course.
that is
Absolutely.
that is a huge thing. It's all about just being okay with where you are in the moment and knowing that you can change. And
Yeah,
that's kind of why why we're here. So
for sure.
awesome. So where can people find you? Any particular thing, a message you want to tell everybody as far as how to reach you? Now's your chance to
Um,
do your little shout
so
outs for your
check out ingatheyogagoddess.com, yoga.goddess420. Those are the two best ways to figure out what I'm doing or to find what I'm doing, not figure out, to find what I'm doing. It's going to be either Instagram or my website. So
yeah.
ingatheyogagoddess.com or yoga.goddess420. If you do go to the Instagram, eventually I have to update it, but you'll see a phone number. A lot of people are not on Instagram anymore.
Go.
So you'll be able to actually text me. And my email is inga.seals@gmail.com. So
Awesome.
all of those ways are going to
Yeah.
be like, super easy to reach me.
Awesome. Yay.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. And I hope the listeners, get a lot from just our message of just hope and really that you can change your life around at any point in time and nothing's permanent. And we're constantly evolving. And there's people out there who will reach out their hand and pick you up and help you and support you. So
Absolutely.
people like you and myself. So we know and we're here.
Yes, for
All right.
sure.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna sign off and you stay on for a sec, okay?
Okay.
Bye guys.